School building in Taree. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, of the land which we work and live, the Gartan speaking people, and pay our respects to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in the MidCoast Council area. We extend our respect to elders past and present, and to all future cultural knowledge holders. I'd like to start by thanking Di and the team from the Anna's Blue Butterflies for organising today's information session. Guys worked very hard to organise a variety of speakers. So we shall move on to our first speaker, Senior Constable. Tips on remaining safe and this important message that it's everybody's responsibility to keep our roads safe by doing the right thing. We're walking, pedestrian, riding bicycles, driving, etc. So now we'll have Karen Foster from the Honda Wheels Drive Education. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Taree from the Bunyan Family Education. Just a little bit of background on me. I was a driving instructor. I have been a driving instructor for 17 years. Prior to that, I was a police officer for 15 years. Having seen the results of poor driving choices, I guess, as a police officer, prompted me to think of other ways that I could help, perhaps especially young people, how to be safer on the road. So I changed tack and decided that I would be a driving instructor instead. Hopefully I can help some students be safer on the road and perhaps not be part of an accident. Decided being at the coalface was my best option, so I could have done lots of other things, but decided for me, like being in the car with young people, being able to perhaps change their behaviour before they got their Ps might be my best way forward. If you can change behaviours prior to a catastrophic event, obviously that's more important than dealing with somebody who's done something wrong after an event. It's very easy after an event to say, geez, I shouldn't have done that. But it's also better if we can to actually change that behaviour before it actually happens. Like our police friend here who mentioned about mobile phone use, the problem is that everybody thinks that's just easy to do, but you don't know the result of that unless you're in an accident. I do predominantly teach young people, but that's not my only part of driving instruction. I do actually teach students who are over 85 years of age. So once you get to 85, you have to do the driving test again. So it's important for some of those people to have a little bit of guidance as to how to pass the test. A lot of them learn to drive when there's no such thing as a roundabout. So do they know that they're meant to indicate when they leave a roundabout? Probably not. So there's lots of good information there. I also work with OTs in the area, so a lot of times, a GP or a doctor might flag that an older person shouldn't be driving because of either a mental or physical disability, and therefore part of my job is to go out as an OT and assess somebody and see whether they should be able to still drive or not. The benefits of young students doing a lesson, if you're aged between 16 and 25, you do gain a 3-hour credit for a 1-hour lesson. I don't really like to promote that so much because it's really about being more safe on the road. Regardless of the fact they're going to get 3 hours to do an hour with me, it's more important that they actually learn to be safe on the road. Okay, there is a safe drivers course that's available in New South Wales, and if a student does a safe drivers course, they will gain a 20-hour credit for attending that. With your long credit hours as a learner driver aged between 16 and 25, you must have a minimum of 120 hours long, and you must be at least 17 before you go for your Ps. So getting extra additional credits is sometimes helpful, especially to parents. Like, parents are time poor, they don't have a lot of time to do a lot with their children, so therefore if the opportunity is there to get some professional assistance, sometimes that can actually be of benefit. in the Mid-North Coast area, there are some agencies that are really helpful as well. So for any of you out there that might have difficulty getting your hours because mum and dad don't get home from work late, you're living in out-of-home care where you don't have the opportunity to drive with anybody, agencies such as Tide, Tersa, Mission Australia, just to name a few, Home Base in Gloucester, all of those agencies are able to provide you with some assistance. And if all falls short and you've got nobody else to talk to, Diane Graham for Hannah's Blue Butterflies will be able to perhaps provide you with some professional help with funding some driving lessons as well. So there should be nobody out there that doesn't have the opportunity to get some professional assistance in learning how to drive. With Home Base, so for students that do struggle with getting their hours, we have mentors that are attached to Home Base that do voluntary work. So they actually are allowed to take students out and just do 1 hour for 1 hour. You don't get an extra credit, but at least you get an hour of driving. Those mentors will come out for driving lessons with me prior to being a mentor, so I have to assess them and make sure that they are the right person to be a mentor. But that's helpful too, because that will give some students an hour or two each week. I've got students at the moment that mum's on their green peas, mum or dad don't have a licence for a variety of reasons, or that, you know, there's time-poor parents that just don't have the ability to do lessons with their son and daughter. So there is a whole range of other options for students that fall into those categories. But if you fall through and nobody seems to want to help you, Graham and Di from Hannah's Blue Butterflies are your way to go. Okay, so what sort of lessons do I do? So in my last week, I've taught students that have never driven a car before. So mum and dad are absolutely terrified of getting in the car with them. So I've had to teach students how to brake, how to steer, how to turn a corner, how to look for hazards. So I've had a whole lot of students like that that are new to driving. I've also had students that are over 85 that are going for their driving test soon and they just want to make sure they're doing everything correctly before they go. I had the unfortunate job of working with an OT to talk about a student who was had been flagged as perhaps not able to continue to drive. And then overseas licence conversions, I've done a whole lot of those through the week as well. So with overseas licence conversions, there are certain rules about having a New South Wales driver's licence when you are a resident in New South Wales. And so a lot of those students come from countries that they've got a full licence overseas, but they've got to learn our rules and know how to drive on our roads. So that in itself can be challenging for a lot of people. Currently, I added it up this morning. I'm teaching students from 11 different countries across the world how to drive in Taree and Foster and Tuncurry. Okay, so I think that understanding the road rules and understanding what poor decisions can result in is the absolute thing we need to think about. So if we know how we're meant to drive, then it's on you guys to make sure you do the right thing. It's okay to know how to do it, but then not do it is where we fall into problems. I only met Di and Graham a few years ago, but hearing their story and hearing about Hannah just made me realise that this is just one tiny little bit of what's happening all over Australia. Statistically, the number of accidents, the crashes that are happening, because they're not accidents, the number of crashes that are happening is continuing to statistically increase, and the reasons for that, obviously, there's a few of them, which I'm sure that most of you will be aware of. Obviously, mobile phone use, which our local police just mentioned, is one of the biggest things for people having an accident, because they're just not taking care of what's in front of them on the road. I think that for me, having been a parent of 3 children that learnt to drive, whilst they were learning to drive, my husband and I were both police officers. My son lost his licence, and what a great thing that was. Okay, so I think that anything that can actually improve somebody's understanding of what they should be able to do is beneficial. So I think for me, somebody having something that then causes them to rethink what they did is actually important in the whole process. As I said, I'm not here today to just talk about me and driving lessons and how you can get a 3-hour credit. I'm here really just to try and enforce that it's really important for everybody to take more care on the road. It's everybody's responsibility. It's not one person's, it's not for the police, it's not for me to teach you to drive. It's actually on everybody to do the right thing.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Karen. There's some great information there. Just to touch a few points. As Karen mentioned, there's a variety of support networks out there that can assist you to obtain your driver's licence. That's important you reach out, check the Transport New South Wales website and other government agencies. It's all about attitude and behaviour, changing that in drivers right from a young age when we as parents driving around with our children. They see from a young age what we're doing behind the wheel. So that stays with them when they start their own driving journey. So it's important that we present the right behaviour and attitude, and there is changes to legislation over the years and to infrastructure. A lot of drivers have issues with multi-lane roundabouts, zebra lanes, etc. It's important that you do know the road rules. You can jump online, Transport New South Wales, Search New South Wales. There's a free test that you can do, same as what the Burns do. So just test yourself to make sure you are up to date with the current road rules. Now we have the next speaker is Richard Eggins from Eggins Bus.
Sorry, Kevin Bakehall from Bakehall's Haulage.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Kevin. Welcome, Kevin. Bakehall's Haulage.
Thank you. Firstly, sorry for turning up late. There was a major accident on the M1 side this morning at Hawkesbury and on our trucks, so things change. Yeah. My name's Kevin Baker. Obviously, you've probably seen the trucks about. My wife and I have owned and operated Baker Haulage for over 40 years, based in Wingham. We have about 45 odd vehicles on the road at any one time. Biggest issue around trucks we find is the complacency. Got to get in front of that truck. Oh, that truck's in our way. And issues carry on just like that all the time. This roundabout out here is one of our key issues, to be honest with you, because our trucks come off the M1 and cars don't want to follow them into Taree. They want forever carrying on our trucks down this roundabout. We've just been in the process of fitting cameras front, back and sides to all our trucks, and I'll tell you some of the footage that you see makes the hair stand up the back of the neck, to be honest with you. A few weeks ago we had one here where a car decided it was going to lead our truck through the roundabout, and in the footage it went up the side of the roundabout and then bounced across and hit our trucks. The lady told the police officer when he got there that I was in a hurry to get forwards. She had 2 kids in the car. Quite funny, the officer said, well, I hope you got a dinner plan B. What's that? Because there was nothing else that could be done. She was stuck without a car, or because she thought she just beat that truck in the tenor. That's what we face all the time, unfortunately. I'm not going to touch on what other people have said, which is quite enlightening, driving schools, out themselves, things like that. My point is, don't be in a hurry. Trucks need room to travel, they need room to turn, they need room to stop. It's as simple as that. They are big, they are heavy. All our drivers are very, very experienced, but back to what I said about the cameras. If you came and sat in my office, some of the things you see really shake you up. Yeah, we've been involved in numerous accidents over the years. Fortunately, not a lot have been our fault. We have quite an experienced driver lineup. That being said, we try and bring young people through. Like, transport's not an industry that's as glamorous as it seems. Simple as that. People don't want to work long hours to be away from home. But we try and educate young drivers to come through that want to be involved in our industry. We had to seek compensation from insurance companies to be able to employ drivers under 25 years old. My argument was we need to educate people, which is really good, so they can allow us to attempt to be under 25. Like I said, I'm not going to touch on what everyone else has said. It's all about, I've heard about phones. Yeah. In the truck, you look down in the car. 9 times out of 10, you look down in the car and the person is texting. It is between William and Taree on double A's of the morning. The amount of young people, I'm not using young people as an example, but the demographic is pink ladies. They've always got phones in their ear while they're driving, and that just causes problems. Yeah, so virtually that's all I really do to say. As I said, slow down them trucks, respect them. It's as simple as that. Just give them the respect they need. We're only trying to do our jobs. And if we don't do our jobs, it's don't make it. That's it. So yeah. So thank you very much for inviting me along. As I said, it's brief, but after don't need to put a copy on what else has been said. Yeah, and I hope what you do is successful. So yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. There's a great information there from Kevin from Bunyan College. As we all appreciate when we're driving around our road network, we see the difficulty that the heavy vehicle drivers do have. People driving smaller sized cars have issues staying within their lanes, etc. So for the truckies out there, they try and earn a living. It's their workplace. They can talk about the safety. So they've got a lot of guidelines and rules they must follow. So it's important as other road users that we give them the respect, give them the space, and courtesy. Just be patient around the heavy vehicles, okay? Because they are little vehicles, so it's important that we do give them space and respect. Okay, so our next speaker is taking hands on butterflies.
No, so I'll speak on behalf of Rich.
My apologies again. Due to the emergency services here on our list today, they've been shuffled from the York. So we have a speaker on behalf of the Taree BRA.
Thank you.
Oh, my apologies. Even with buses. I think we start off.
Thanks. Apologies from Richard Eggins at the Eggins Bus Company. I've had this call back in just to mention buses because I do drive the bus as well as with Alice Blue Butterfly Safety Sand. Our biggest issue on our bus is buckle up on the bus. With 50 to 60 children per bus, it's very hard to watch the mirrors, the front, the noise, so we rely a lot on parents to help us teach their children to buckle up. It's a very hard thing to get them all to do because they just don't want to. The attitude can be, I don't have to. They virtually treat buses like a mobile playground. So we really, when we get to safety sand is another reason of early intervention. But with the primary school children, they are the worst. And they really need to buckle up. Anytime, as Kevin did mention, it's like being around a truck. We have to expect the unexpected. Someone might cross for a red light, we've got the road. Kids aren't buckled up, kids fly. Luckily, touch wood, I've only ever had one that's been not badly hurt, but has been hurt. That's flying down the aisle. We also need parents to make sure when a bus pulls up, they're not pushing, shoving. Especially at the high schools is a bad thing, and the private schools. They push and shove. A kid a child has actually fallen and the been about that far from a wheel. It's frightening. It's terrifying. That I could squash a child, or I could kill a child. The same is, we try to tell children not to get out on the, or ask parents, not to get out on the traffic side of the back door and get out on the curb side, which we call the safety door. Because traffic's trapped enough many times along Calvert Street would be the worst. Kids bail out. And I've actually had a child with 5 other bus drivers, and a child they allowed tripped over their backpack, and where had they landed? In front of a bus. And I've seen one land in front of a truck. And it's very hard to pull up in a bus and a truck, but it happens. And so far we've been lucky in Taree. So on behalf of the bus, please, as parents, ask your children to buckle up on the
There's some very simple messaging there about bus safety. Buses have been around for a long time, more buses than one time with another. So it's important to be educated and pass that information to our children. Tell them when the bus is moving, sit down, put the seatbelt on, be quiet. That's easier for the driver to concentrate. If there's a lot going on, they've got a lot of responsibility with all your children in their bus. Right, so our next speaker will be
So we don't have the VRA, they've all been called out. So at,
incident.
yeah. so-
apologies from the VRO,
Apologies,
my green team.
yeah. So we could come back to and talk about what we do, yeah?
Yes, and we'll have the butterfly team come up and talk about the
You want us to help?
foundation.
I'm back. Right. Myself, Jack and Joe do safety stand. This is our little thing we've put together. We go around to preschools. How did we start this off? This started through Hannah, Blue Butterflies, and we branched off into safety stand because Hannah's life was taken by a person using a mobile phone. So I suggest, or I advise that you purchase this book. It's $25, and once you read it, you will read that ripple effect of how it affects people and pass the book on. So branching out too, one of the branches from Hannah. So Joe and I go around to preschools, and we take a homemade thing here. It's quite simple. I won't do a display. We just show mum buckled up. We get a bus out. We're trying to put children down the side. We'll put a bus in. We'll have traffic coming. We just teach them about the safety door, heading out on the left-hand side of the curb, which I've already stated that, and on this side, safety door for children, so we encourage parents to do that. With our display, we'll have the kids, we'll bring the bus in, make sure the kids stand back up, monkeying around. With mums across the road, we'll advise a child if they could ask their mum to come across the other side where they feel very safer. We encourage that very much.
I also demonstrate a ball with kids playing around the car. The ball goes towards the car, under the car, and ask what they should do, what they feel they should do when that ball goes under the car. Some say go and get it, and we're trying to let them know that they should always ask an adult to do it, just in case there's someone in that car that they don't realise and the car can come back on them. And then they're squashed, you know. We also teach them about kicking the ball onto the road. If they kick the ball on the road, what should they do? We encourage them once again to get an adult. So it's not only on the road, it's the safety around their own home. So, and even we talk to them about riding bikes, whether or not they wear helmets, are they with adults, you know, and yeah, when they cross the road, what the right thing is to do. Yeah, it's a pilot kind of things, but it's really important that we start that early, at an earlier age. So, yeah, we teach them about this, traffic lights and everything. Yeah, it's a multiple things, but hopefully sooner or later we'll sort of sink it in. Some kids take it and some don't. So at the end of the day, it's up to parents.
Just they will say learning is the best time to teach children, and that's what it's all about. And we even advise them to pull up and say, if mum's got a mobile, that's the wrong thing to do. Dad wants to plant the orange light, that's the wrong thing to do. And they do tell us some stories, we hear it all. And we do advise them to, if they feel unsafe in the car, to tell them that. That's one thing I do push. Okay, so that's pretty much Safety Sam, and it's very successful. I must say, it is very successful.
Yeah.
And sorry to go back to the bus, Bulladale Bus Company said one of their main things with children was e-bikes. E-scooters. So we're going to go into that later, parents supervising these children, because they're definitely great, they're dangerous. So that's the other thing we'll be going into. So that's Safety Sam. Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, so that's some very important information. That's a great program that Principal Butterflies are sharing into our schools. So if you are a local school or organisation, like you have this at your place, please contact Principal Butterflies to organise the program. I just important to reinforce that this road safety starts very young, so just as children become toddlers, start moving around themselves, we need to educate them safely, walking on footpaths, driveways, cross where it's safe, put the seatbelt on, wear helmets, all those sorts of things. Okay, important that we do keep enforcing those safety messages. And e-scooters in New South Wales, e-scooters are illegal to use on our public roads. The only legal ones are the hire e-scooters, and that is because before you can use one, you need to show add your driver's license or identity, you need to pay for them. They're pre-flow fenced, which means they can't go everywhere, and they have to speed limited in different locations, in different streets and footpaths, etc. So they are controlled. You can see who's using them. There is a trial down at Taree at the moment, and they are in use other places across the state and interstate. So Transport for New South Wales will make a decision on when they will be made legal in New South Wales. A large issue is parents buying these e-scooters for their children online. They're poor quality e-scooter with batteries, and these are big batteries after all the house fires. So it's important that they and they're not being supervised quickly and really safely. Okay, so that's a fantastic program, Safety Sam. So if you are local or like to see in your own area, please contact me with uprise and they'll be able to use in your schools and schools. Okay.
We'll just finish up as a group and tie up.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So we're now at Ride in Canada for the bug prize. Ride running. We're going to stance. About the organisation.
So before we tie up, I certainly want to thank everybody that's attended. Love to see these really great kids who've been busy, Taree. They're very well behaved. We've got some special things for you when this is finished. And all our speakers. These workshops are vital because they're giving you hands-on information and information that's happening now and awareness. For us, this is our team. We have 2 members that are unable to be here due to work commitments. But our team is Graham, Joe, Di, January, Tony and Amy. We began as Hannah's Blue Butterflies Road Safety Awareness 4 years ago. The 4 of us here are the core members. We then created a not-for-profit and we are a corporation and we're registered. We began this journey and it's exactly as January said, we are a tree and we have multiple branches. So the work we do, everything that we do is to honour Hannah, who was tragically killed at 19 in a car crash that was preventable. And we now branch out and all of us work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day without any money. We do it because we want to honour Hannah and we do it because we don't want anyone else to go through this. So the core is many, many layers. It is education, so Graham and I talk in schools, we talk at public events, dinners, Clover, Rotary and so on. We have a great Safety Sam team. We have brief support that we go out and we travel across the country to support families who have suffered the worst grief in their life or survivors. And sadly, many of them fall through the cracks and don't get funding and help, and they need to talk to people like us. We do, as Karen said, we do have funding for those that fall through the cracks and don't get funding and need to get some professional driving lessons. We will help with that. There's lots of other branches as well. And we are out there constantly to support and help. A big one for us, we have January, who wears 3 hats. She's a bus driver for Eggins. She is a volunteer in the VRA and she's a volunteer with us, a board member. And for January, she sees the really dark side of crashes. And our first responders grieve too. Can we remind ourselves when we see these images, when we see everything happening on the television, on the reels, on Facebook, these first responders cannot unsee what they've seen. These images burned into their retinas. They say to me, can't unsee what we've seen, Di. And they carry it. It affects them, their career, their families, their friends, their partners, their kids. They grieve too. We need to remember that. And we are all here today because we don't want anyone else to go through this. We want our children to be safe. We want our children, right from the littlies all the way up, to have a mum and dad, carers, parents, grandparents, to be great examples for their children. And for the kids to be inquisitive and to watch and to ask questions, and for them to carry that through when they get their learners. And the biggest thing that we see, and as Karen said, unfortunately we are 33% above the national road toll of last year. That was as of yesterday at 5 p.m. And last year was the biggest in 10 years. Until we change our behaviour, until we challenge our poor driving skills and our poor attitudes, there's going to be blood spilled on the road. And if you ever think it'll never happen to me, you think again, because we did too, and it can. So we're going to close up now, and we thank you all for coming, and we thank you all for joining us on live stream. We know it's a busy time, and we really appreciate you joining us. Please know we have a website, we have a Facebook page. Reach out if you want to chat, we're here for you. Thanks, guys. Oh, yes, absolutely.
And just before we do wrap up, thank you for that. I want to give people presentation on
Let's do.
the European Dinosaur Foundation.
Yes, please, yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We of course we're going to want to be into those shoes, like in brain have been in. Unfortunately, there's way too many of us doing that situation. We've got somebody that's been affected by road trauma, and this doesn't affect the one person who's sinister effects, mainly relatives, the communities, the responders, everybody. So just a moment of madness can have a life-changing life for everybody. So I'm going to just speak about the Liverpool Foundation. So again, unfortunately, this foundation was born about another sad loss. This time it was 2014, and Tom was 4 years old. It was on holidays with his beautiful family on the Central Coast, and they come from a Sydney area, metropolitan area, where there was curving government paths, great infrastructure on the coastal area, where this little coastal town, there was this grass footpath, grass bridge that went up to the edge of the Richmond road surface, and unfortunately, little Tom just the moment he went out by a car. That's how simple it can happen. So it's important for the children that we give those simple messages hold to their hands, but also to try not to slow down around any area where there's dinosaur has been on a mission to educate and promote these simple messages throughout Australia. And children within the foundation has collaborated with 78 councils across the 5 Australian states. MidCoast Council is very proud to also partner with this foundation and to promote road safety. The cause of death in children has been identified as road transport accidents. We should say crashes because they're not accidents. Most of the crashes can be prevented. So that terminology accidents is now being phased out. So called crashes. So from once 14 years old, land transport crashes is the major cause of our children. And just simply parents and other road users need to educate their children and look out for other people's children while we're looking around our road networks. Numerous studies have been done, which I think we can understand that the loss of a child, any child, can result in PTSD, anxiety, depression, etc., and that may lead on to alcohol and drug abuse, trying to deal with that recovery. So, the impacts can be long-term, fast-term, and can affect the family. They become socially isolated. They may lose their jobs because they can't function. So, the offset trauma and losing a loved one through road trauma is life changing. So the foundation has come up with this great holiday campaign, which MidCoast Council has partnered with since 2018. Hopefully locals have noticed the signage every year, December and January. The signs have been placed around our coastal areas from Gloucester Tea Gardens all the way north to Harrington, Crowley Head and everywhere in between. I place them in the playgrounds and the car parks along our beaches, just to help promote that simple messaging: slow down and hold my hand. We all know any children under 10, we should be always holding their hand when we're outside our homes. The sign's nice and bright, they stand out, it's a simple messaging, which I really like because a lot of the campaigns I run, the messaging can be sometimes a bit bland, where this one is just nice and bright. It's meditation. It's one attention. It's simple. Hold my hand and slow down, kids around. all around Australia, the foundation has partnered, and in New South Wales, 60% of our councils are partnering with this foundation to promote child safety. But we need all councils to jump on board and promote this initiative. The trends in favour of child pedestrian crashes, unfortunately, there's been no reduction, although there's been education, previous for motor vehicles, and in sensors, cars, so forth. Unfortunately, little ones going through, there's been an increasing trend in the last decade. They can relate to driveway fatalities. So it's important that before we drive our cars, that we, driveways or carports, etc., we always check that our children are safely either in the vehicle with us or in the house with another adult. Unfortunately, like all our road trauma statistics, there's no real good news. They are continuing to be static. So Michelle, the family, Michelle promotes the foundation widely and it will really be government. I think most of us have seen Michelle in her government endorsements program. These are some of the different initiatives used by the foundation. Public buses, behaviours, police, enhancement of butterfly. That was an opportunity to meet with people in the family. Back in 2018, and it was partnered up with some of the local signs. Some of those signs are fixed, which stay up all the year round. Others are corporate, which I put up and put down. On a state level, the foundation is partnered with the Catholic schools and Department of Education to push the kids in traffic. This has been a fantastic education tool. So I suggest you jump on the Safety Town website. It's fantastic information. Full of tips and basic information to really help children stay safe. The Local Gloucester Foundation also had a federal grant to promote this initiative within preschools. So we were lucky enough to select as one of the participating local government areas. So MidCoast Council partnered with Gloucester and 10 preschools across our LGA in Taree, Gloucester, Curry, England, etc. participated, and we put up signage outside the school, outside the preschools, and promoted education within the class curriculum. There's been really positive feedback from that program, so hopefully once the funding has been finalised, they may push that throughout all the different preschools throughout the state. So that was back in March 2023. Guidance will come and visit the kids at the preschool. Michelle will come up to the city, which is fantastic. Again, it's just a lot of education, our holiday campaign. I'm sure you can see something on the news channels promoting the initiative. So for those who are not partnering as yet with the foundation, Local Gloucester, it is effective as a road safety education officer. Council, I can 100% state that sure the person we're working with is a fantastic initiative, foundation, and I suggest that you contact your local councils, try to speak to their road safety officer, somebody in the Department of Traffic or education team, and ask them about partnering with this foundation, or contact the foundation directly, bringing it to your local areas. And finally, like most of these foundations are not private, so we need ongoing funding from all different levels of government and volunteers to keep them operational. So to try and build a successful national campaign across Australia, and simply as Henry Ford stated, coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, working together is success. So please try to support this foundation, and if it's not in your area, please contact the foundation or your local council to get that into your area. Okay, that's the foundation. Establishing the basic information about that foundation is fantastic. And that's the end of the presentation. So I'd just like to thank all the speakers who gave the time to attend today, who shared their knowledge and experience. Thank you to Guy and the team for putting today's event on. It's been a pleasure. Again, the team is fantastic to work with, both the foundation with all our tragic circumstances. So we do appreciate your time and efforts we're all here for the same reason, trying to reduce road trauma, all being affected by it at different levels. So it is important that we partner and try to change behaviour of our drivers and road users in our community. So thank you, stay safe this holiday time. The kids are about to slow down. Remember those simple fatal 5 factors which cause our fatal crashes. Excessive speed, you're not driving to conditions. So you may be driving under the speed limit, however, because it's fog, rain, other things are going on, you're not driving to the appropriate speed for that road. Wear seatbelts, helmets. Distraction, they could be mobile phones, they could be people within your vehicle, it could be somebody trying to eat food, brush their hair, put makeup on, all those sorts of distraction things. You're not paying 100% attention. Even using a mobile phone hands-free, that could be quite distracting if you're talking about work or other issues. You may not be focusing 100% on what you're doing. Drugs and alcohol, that's common sense that you're going to be driving. Don't consume alcohol and drugs before you drive. So it's important that we remain vigilant, change our behaviour and our attitude, take our time and get around safely. So enjoy the rest of your